father of Hollywood.com, along with Truthwins.com, presents Dreamland New Beginnings, written by Dr. Galen Whitley Keith, narrated by Keith Whitley. Chapter 15, San Fernando Valley, 1909. The wind from the valley carried the scent of wheat and dust as Hobart Johnstone Whitley gathered the syndicate beneath a great canvas sunshade atop the Santa Monica ridgeline. The wide horizon of the San Fernando Valley spread before them, 47,000 acres of fertile land shimmering like God's empty page upon which new cities would soon be inscribed. Before Whitley lay a large map weighed down upon the rough table. Around him, seated in folding chairs, were Los Angeles' most powerful men. General Harrison Gray Otis, wizened now at 71, his white goatee trimmed sharp against the sun. Harry Chandler, tall, lean, and bookish. General M.H. Sherman, O.F. Brandt, and several others. Roy Milner stood behind Whitley with his pen never ceasing, catching every promise, every figure, every vow. Whitley rapped his pointer once upon the map. Gentlemen, a final word of recap. We have agreed the Great Valley will be divided into 3 modern urban cities. Prospect of sale to begin in 1911. Murmurs of assent, nods among cigars and starch collars. Sherman chuckled. Now all we must do is lay the roads and name them after ourselves. The meeting broke in laughter, men slapping backs and wiping brows in the bright heat. Then, my friends, Whitley declared, sweeping his wide-brimmed hat from his head, our business is concluded. Down to the hotel. The stakes are on me. Chairs scraped, carriages beckoned, but Whitley tapped Otis's arm lightly as the others filed down the slope. Stay a moment, General. You too, Harry. He nodded at Roy. You. Back to the carriage. Dutifully, Roy folded his notes and withdrew. The 3 men strolled quietly toward the ridge's edge, the green valley floor unfurling toward the far wall of mountains. Otis dabbed his forehead. Name it quickly, H.J. This sun conspires against my patience. Whitley paused, gazing out as though he spoke half to heaven. Gentlemen, those 2 hills of mine, Whitley Heights and Whitley Hill, few yet understand the vision there. A neighborhood like none this nation has seen. Finely designed, awash in light, European splendor placed upon our California hillsides. Still, I would have your writers print the truth of it. Call it revolutionary. Call it the next beacon of progress. The people will believe their newspapers. A word from the Times, and my dream gleams brighter. Otis shot him a look, wry and wary. And in what currency shall this favor be paid? Whitley smiled faintly, gesturing toward the valley sweep. In the currency of history, there must one day be an east-west thoroughfare through these lands. My inclination was to name it Virginia Boulevard for my wife. But if it were called Otis Boulevard instead, I would not object. Otis threw his head back, laughter crackling like firewood. H.J., you are a virtuoso of the bargain. His face softened. But no, I have no sons, and my family out east adorns enough towns as it is. My father filled more maps with his name than modesty should allow. You shame me with humility, General, Whitley smiled. As they approached the carriages, Otis clasped Harry Chandler's shoulder and turned with the air of a patriarch. Here is my bargain, H.J. Name one of your cities, Marion, for my daughter and for the grandchildren she gives Harry. Do this, and you shall have your articles. Whitley bowed with swift decisiveness. Done. Otis narrowed his eyes. When? By June's end in your Sunday edition, if it please you. It does not, Otis grunted, but you shall have it. He climbed into his carriage. Chandler followed, turning back with a grin. Marion, he mused aloud. I quite like the sound. My thanks, H.J. Whitley tipped his hat, his smile the contentment of a man who had once again bartered ambition into inevitability. But while power dealt quietly on ridgelines, other forces festered in the shadows. In a narrow alley of the business district, James McNamara slipped open a suitcase for his brother John. Inside glinted bricks of dynamite and timed detonators. "You understand," John whispered darkly. "Otis and Chandler must die." "I understand," James nodded grimly. "1 in the morning. I shall leave the suitcase near the barrels of printer's ink. They have not canceled a late-night meeting in months. By dawn, they will be ash." Far from the plotting, H.J. and Gigi slept in their restored Hurd mansion, their faithful Max curled on the rug. Moonlight washed the bedroom when suddenly Gigi stirred violently, her breath quickened, her body trembling. She screamed aloud, "Ah!" H.J. jolted upright, his hand upon her shoulder. "What is it?" Her eyes gleamed wet with terror. "Do not go tomorrow night to the Times building. Promise me." "It was only a nightmare," H.J. soothed. "No!" She clutched his hand. "This was sight, not sleep. There will be an explosion, fire. Men will die. You must promise me." "My dear," he sighed, "the syndicate's meeting is important. Van Nuys cannot wait. Every day we delay costs families their homes. And Marion and Owensmouth all hang in the balance." "No," she begged. "Please, Hobart, promise me." Her urgency pierced him. At last, he relented. "Very well. I will reschedule. I give you my word." She collapsed against him, sobbing, whispering, "You have saved their lives." The following morning, Whitley phoned Otis. "No, I cannot come. My wife dreamed of disaster. She believes the building will explode." On the line, Otis chuckled but softened. "Then perhaps Providence speaks through her. My daughter begs me to see a play tonight. If you are going, I will take it as a sign." That night, while the Whitleys dined with the Otises at the theater, the McNamara brothers crept to First Street with their deadly case. At 1:07 a.m., the walls of the Los Angeles Times exploded outward in thunder and fire. Inside, chaos. Men screamed, women fled. Gas lines burst, turning fire into hell itself. Compositors and janitors, clerks and printers trampled, burned, suffocated. Panic flowed through narrow stairwells where no escape remained. Flames swallowed floor after floor, swallowing man after man. 21 lives were taken before dawn. Fire wagons thundered through the city, steam engines shrieking, horses foaming in the harness as firemen dragged hoses to an inferno too fierce to quench. By dawn, a blackened skeleton stood where a proud building had been. The acrid smell of ink and ash carried across the streets. A vast crowd gathered in horror as men bore the broken upon wooden stretchers. Whitley pressed his way through until he found General Otis, his face ashen, handkerchief pressed to his lips. "I should have sent them home," Otis whispered hoarsely, looking at the dead dragged free. "I never believed her dream. When you called, it was but an excuse to give in to Marion and see the play." His eyes brimmed with grief and fury. He stared into the ruin. "We will find them, H.J., the cowards who did this, that I swear." Whitley laid a heavy hand upon his shoulder. His own voice shook with mingled sorrow and resolve. "Then let God's justice be our companion. For we walk his plan, even through the fire." Come back next Wednesday to hear the next chapter of Dreamland New Beginnings, written by Dr. Galen Whitley Keith, narrated by Keith Whitley.